So tell that story again about Grandpa and the.
Well, Kenneth told me that he went with
Grandpa
Grandpa.
I would be with Grandpa and he would stop at Skippy's for a beer. And he would, and he'd give me a drink of the beer, you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as we started in the car, he said, "Don't tell Grandma." Well, as soon as I went in to see Grandma, I always hugged her, you know. Well, she could smell my breath, I'm quite sure. But she never said anything.
Yep. Well,
No, Grandpa liked his beer. And,
Yeah. And
the thing of it is, Grandma would go to the grocery store and buy the beer, but then he would go in the basement and drink it.
yep.
It's
Yeah.
not like she knew he was drinking beer, you know,
yeah.
that why he, and when they're at the Lake George, remember that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He would keep the beer out there in the garage.
Yeah, he put it down next to the water coming up out of the ground where it was cold to keep it cool, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's was that before there was a well out in the garage?
The water from the well. He had the well out there too for
Yeah.
well, I think he used that for laundry and whatnot,
Yeah.
because he did the laundry in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was no bathtub in the house, so I don't know how they bathed.
Well, it's called the lake.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they spent a lot of time swimming in the lake.
I
No.
don't ever remember seeing Grandpa in the water.
No.
I don't think I did either.
If he did, he had boots on to put the pier in every
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Grandma went swimming with us once or twice, I remember, for a
Wow.
little while, you know.
Grandma would go in, but not that much, you know.
No, and she'd bring a bar of soap with her and wash up with some.
Well, there you go. Mystery
Oh, yeah.
solved.
The lake.
The lake. Maybe you can-
That didn't work in the wintertime, though.
No,
No, I think Lake George was pretty lonely in the winter up there, because back then I think there was one other family that lived close to Grandma and Grandpa.
yeah, Stockers lived just into Michigan, and he had retired from the railroad.
Yeah.
So the two of the men would talk railroad, and Grandma would talk whatever with Mrs. Stocker.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't Paps there year-round also?
I don't know. I thought they were farmers. They
Well,
may have.
There was a neighbor about 3 doors down, I think, in that where the Y was in the road.
Well, Paps was like in that triangle area that,
Yeah.
the road split around them.
Yeah.
And I thought they
Yeah.
lived there year-round.
They could have. I don't remember exactly.
Yep.
Well, see, the last year, I think Grandma and Grandpa moved into Maumee, wasn't it?
Yeah. Initially, Maumee High School was being built, and there was a house that was going to be removed, so they had access into the high school. And so Dad worked it out, because he worked for the school system, so that they could move in there. And in the meantime, then we built a house on Birch, and then there was a nice little ranch that Grandma and Grandpa built next door. So they stayed next door to us for a while. But yeah, so that's where they moved in. And then after Grandma passed away, Grandpa then moved in with
Your folks.
no, moved in with Virgil's family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My dad was 1911. I think Uncle Clayt was around 10 or something.
Oh, for birth?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I just had it. Where was it? Clayton
That was-
was 1910.
Yeah. And then Aunt Carolyn would have been just before that.
She was the oldest, 1909.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nine,
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, because Grandma told my mother one time she felt like she was just a baby making machine, you know.
okay.
Yeah. That,
I
you know,
remember Grandma would always talk to your dad, like around 11 o'clock or so at night, and he was doing the washing and stuff. And I guess on the conversation, your dad said you were expecting again. And I remember
Yeah.
Grandma said, "Oh no, not again."
yeah.
Well, the options in those days were pretty slim for women. I mean, there was the best option for not getting pregnant was separate bedrooms, which they did.
Yeah.
You know, yep. And
Well,
there
you know, when Grandpa got sued for breach of promise, Grandma told my mother that the Grandpa's attorney wanted her to sit way up front because she was pregnant at the time, and it would give some sympathy for Grandpa, and maybe, you know, the jurors wouldn't be so tough on him. And Grandma wouldn't do that. She just couldn't. You know,
Yep.
she was a private person. She could.
Yeah.
I found the news articles about that story, so now it's a part of Grandpa's story about the broken promise, and it's pretty interesting. There were two news articles. First was the suit brought, and then it was moved to a different court to be settled. And Peggy, how much did I say that they paid?
I thought 10,000
No,
No, no.
Oh, no.
10,000
No.
in those days.
or
would be like-
That would have
5,000.
been $1 million
No,
probably.
yeah.
1,000 or 1,400, somewhere in there, I thought.
Yeah, I don't remember what the,
Well, I'm going to tell you because I have it right here. Make it bigger, Bob, so you can read it. Ms. Clerk Oates of this city was given a verdict of $500 damages by a jury in the Miami Circuit Court at Peru last week in her breach of promise suit against Harvey Bohls, son of Mr. and Mrs. W.H. Bohls of this city.
So
How's that?
500.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah. Which is a lot of money back then.
Oh,
It sure was.
Well, you know, even in the 50s, if somebody was making $1,500 a year, you know,
Yeah.
post-war, that was a lot of money, or that was a middle class income.
Well, I thought at one time Aunt Carrie loaned Grandma and Grandpa some money so he could pay that off and move out of state. He had a job in another state with the railroad, and he had to settle that before he could move.
Yep.
And I think Aunt Carrie gave him some money, and I thought maybe she was out in state of Washington or something at the time.
Huh.
I think Aunt Carrie was in Washington.
Yeah, I don't know why she went out there or anything, but I think she was out there at one time.
Wow.
Because she had some bad marriages.
Oh, really?
And the last one was real great. He was
Yeah,
a wonderful guy.
she
Rod
married
was his name. Rod.
she married Walt, Grandpa's brother. First, I thought that was her first marriage.
Yeah, but that
Did she
didn't work.
did she have another one after that?
Her last one was Rod Taylor.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, that was the last
Vaguely.
one. And
Yeah.
she buried him, of course.
Yeah.
And
Did you stay with her a little bit after he died? Do you remember? Oh, because I remember when he died, I can remember my dad or something asked me if I wouldn't stay with her a few nights, because she didn't like staying alone. And I thought you had stayed with her a few nights in that apartment on, oh,
On Lincoln,
Lincoln. Yeah.
Avenue, yeah.
Yeah. I remember going up that apartment and she had the Murphy bed that went up into the wall.
Yeah.
I remember
Well,
that. Yeah.
one was in the living room and the
Yeah.
other one was in the sunroom, I guess that's what she called. And when I'd stay over there overnight, why she would use the one in the living room that
Yeah.
pulled out, come on out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then she always used the other one in the sunroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was married more than once.
I think she was married more than once.
Oh,
At least twice.
At least twice from what you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
so Rodney was the last one?
Yeah.
Taylor.
Rod.
Yeah. Rod.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Uh, like I say, she was married to Grandpa's brother, but that didn't last. I don't know how long. But it seems to me she was married in between there, wasn't she?
But hey, that's before my time.
Yeah.
So you know where Tim and I are.
Hey, and what about me?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Peggy.
My recollection of Carrie was she was living by herself in the apartment.
On Lincoln Avenue.
Well, and of course, I don't remember where it was,
Yeah.
but I remember her being sick, and she ended up
At our place.
in your bedroom on Hoyles,
Right.
and she died there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause Mom took care of her because she didn't want to run back and forth to Carrie's
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'll bring you over. Because Mom drove then. And so
I think Grandma ended up with her 41 Plymouth or whatever, wasn't it?
yeah, 41 Plymouth
Yeah.
they got. And seems to me, I'm trying to think.
You think there was a third one in between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I only show Walt, and that's the
Oh,
only
Grandma-
one that I show.
Her dad had a DeSoto.
Well, that DeSoto, well, the one I'm remembering was much later. The only DeSoto I remember, we were living on State Line Road then. It was like a 54 DeSoto.
It probably
But-
was.
That was much, much later.
Yeah, because she died in 49.
Yeah.
But I only show Walter as the only one she's married to, that she married.
Oh, Peg, we've got some work to do. I don't
I think,
remember her death, and I show Rod.
And she was
she
married
show
to-
Rodney.
Rodney.
Yeah. They lived together. Whether they were actually married, I don't remember.
Oh,
That was the
could
second
have
or the
been.
third?
Because the
Was-
one marriage there, I don't know if it was marriage or not, but I think he threatened her life.
which one?
The one that we're not thinking of.
Ah,
Second one.
The second one, yeah.
geez.
Oh,
He was
So
married.
Ro-
Them
so
things.
Rodney was the third?
Yeah.
Rodney was the
Well,
third.
at least the second, if not the third.
I'm thinking the third. I don't know. Cause she had the rooming house there in Illinois. I don't know where that was at. You?
No.
I'd never heard about the rooming house.
Yeah, she had that, and because she rented the rooms out, and of course she sold that. Um,
Well, that's fascinating. And
Did
go
did
ahead.
she have kids? Did she have any children?
No,
so
Was
her
having
first-
3 husbands and she had not a single child?
No. No, she didn't have any children.
So it'll be interesting to see, Peggy, if we can find documentation to support that in the
And
relationship.
you said Illinois? Owned a rooming house in Illinois?
No, not
Yes,
in Illinois or Illinois Avenue.
Illinois state.
Oh, in the state. Oh,
So at Peoria, maybe?
Please?
At Peoria?
Yes, that sounds right.
oh.
Yeah, and I don't know how long she had that rooming house. Um,
was Aunt Carrie a teacher or?
no, I really don't know what she did do.
She was a hotel owner.
Well, evidently she done that in Illinois, but I don't know of her holding a job anywhere in Toledo.
Of course, back and then you had a lot of rooming houses. You know,
Yeah. I don't know how big it was. I was never there.
yeah.
You remember that one party? They were tearing down this old house. This was in Indiana. As I think Grandpa's parents, I think, lived in Indiana, didn't they?
Yeah, they're Indiana.
Peru.
Yeah, for William. Yep.
And they were tearing this old house alongside of it, I guess. I remember the kid running through the place, but maybe you wasn't here yet. I don't know.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Because I was just a small kid.
Yeah.
And
See, I'd probably been, if you were small, I'd probably been still in diapers or, you know,
yeah,
because you were 4 years older than I am. Because you were a senior at Central when I was a freshman.
yeah. Yeah, I'll be 90 next year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
So about this house that was being torn down, was this a family house?
I sort of presume it might have been. I don't know. I just remember the kid running through the place, and I know they were tearing it down. I remember that. And I think Grandma lived next door, a little house. It was a little house, it wasn't very big. And I think they served the food over in the old house when they were tearing down, if I remember right. But that's been a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you say, you probably don't remember it, so it might have been.
No, I don't ever remember going over to Indiana other than the cottage, you know, at after they got Lake George. But
Yeah.
other than that, I was never over in Indiana.
Well, and for us youngsters, that's all we knew was the cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it,
I
it's,
think Grandpa built that.
Yeah. Yeah. They built the back half first, remember?
Yeah.
And I remember going up there one time to help. My dad went up to work, and my mother and probably my brothers and sisters went, and they just had the back half. And it rained all the time, so we had to stay inside.
Yeah.
And because I remember Grandma told me when they added the front on and, whatnot,
Yeah.
she said that, of course, the wall between the two was open, and the part they added on hadn't been closed off yet, but they had a door there. And she said she couldn't go to sleep until they locked that door. She said she knew there were no walls there, and people could just walk in. But she said she had to lock that door before she could go to sleep.
I think my dad done the plumbing and your dad.
Probably, yeah.
electric.
Yeah. I know my dad worked up there. I remember him working on the chimney and probably worked on other stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm sure Uncle Clay'd helped out and,
well, we've got a good collection of pictures from Lake George and the construction at Lake George between us, and it's fascinating. See Grandpa up on the roof, working, and everybody else working there, and I think there's some good pictures of Uncle Clay in there and so forth. But and then Virgil, you mentioned you remember Mom and Dad came up with their house trailer and parked it.
yeah.
Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think Aunt Pat worked there and Aunt Gola, didn't she?
Who?
If my Aunt Pat could get a job faster than my uncle could, or uncle.
oh,
She might have. I didn't remember that.
oh, I don't remember that.
That's when they had the trailer parked in the,
Oh, fascinating.
not the driveway, but the drive going up to the house.
Yeah.
And Bob and Pat come in from California.
Yep.
And they was living in the trailer. And I think Bob did he work at the railroad?
Yes. He worked at the rail at the heating plant for the station there.
Yeah.
And then took the job with the schools.
Yeah.
Schools,
Yeah.
which was fortunate because they tore that heating plant down.
Yeah. Yeah, they tore that whole facility down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your dad worked for ADT or something in California.
You're talking about my dad?
Yeah.
California.
Well,
Yeah.
Bob said,
Oh, Bob's son.
And that's something I didn't know either.
I think I'll ask Don, but I thought he worked for one of those ADT or something that, burglar alarm systems and
Fascinating.
but I only heard bits and pieces,
Sure.
years ago.
Yep. Well, I know Mom didn't want to leave California.
Yeah.
But, family and Dad was more important, so it all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, My eldest daughter lives in California now. Trisha.
Oh.
She,
Yeah, it's-
Anywhere near where you lived then when you were in California?
no, Arizona.
No,
Wayne, oh, you're
Bob.
talking,
Yeah, when you lived in California.
well, I
Did
didn't,
you?
I,
Oh, you didn't. Your parents did.
Don and Dave are both born in California. I was born in Maumee or in Toledo.
Okay.
And
Okay.
while the Craig Road house was being constructed, the at a very cold, as I understand it, January winter in 1950, and the only heat for the house that time was the kitchen stove.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, no. But Trisha is in Sacramento, and mom and dad were near San Francisco, so they're very close.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is just fascinating history, though. Uh, just great.
Remember when Grandma Bohls always had Christmas Eve? And us kids had to stay in the kitchen while Santa Claus brought the
Yeah.
presents from under the tree.
Well, that was the Toledo house, I bet, and that's I did not know that.
Yeah, it was Parkside Boulevard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never saw Parkside, other than
Yeah.
drive past it and Dad say, "Yeah, we used to live there."
You know.
Yeah, they've torn it down now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
what Ken was saying,
Well,
something
I
about-
think that's what they learned, yeah.
You knew Grandpa built that, right, Ken?
Did what?
He built the Parkside house.
No,
Did you know that?
no, I didn't know that.
Uh,
I think he built,
uh,
because that was a
What?
duplex, you know?
yeah, Bud told me that he built it.
No, I didn't realize he built that house.
Yeah, that's what he told me. And because I remember when I was working on my foundation, Grandma and Grandpa still had that. And he took me downstairs and showed me how Grandpa put extra pillars in to hold the basement wall from coming in.
Oh,
And it used to be, I think it used to be just a house, and then they divided it later into apartment upstairs.
That was a duplex.
Yeah, but I think when they first built it, I think it was just the house for the whole family.
Well, I didn't know any of that.
Well,
Because
in a way, that might make sense because the only entrance to that upstairs was on the back of the house, wasn't it?
no, there's one in the front too.
There was one in the front,
For the upstairs?
the upstairs.
I
Because
don't
you
know.
had two doors. One was downstairs, the other one went upstairs.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
You remember the piano there in the living room,
Yeah,
right when you came in the door? Well,
Yeah.
behind that piano was used to be a door to the stairway that went upstairs.
well, I didn't know about that. Well, I know the piano was
Yeah.
there as you came in the house.
Um,
Grandma used to play that.
yeah. I can't remember her playing it much, but I think
didn't
she used
play
to
a
get
lot.
piano.
She did play.
I heard she taught piano. Was she a teacher at one time?
Not that I know of.
Oh, somehow that got in my memory. But and she had I know at Lake George she had a lot of piano music.
Yeah, because she knew, because she had a lot of, in that bench that opened up, a lot of music in that bench.
Yeah.
Then Grandma would get it out and play it.
Hmm.
Um,
because there was only 2 bedrooms downstairs, and with all the kids, you know,
There was only 2 bedrooms. Yeah, that's right.
Grandma had the
bathroom
front
was
one.
in the center between the 2 bedrooms.
Yeah. Grandma had the front one and Grandpa had the back one.
Right.
Now, I don't know if they slept separate all the time or just when we stayed over. I remember staying over and sleeping with Grandma in her bedroom.
Well, I think when they came down to visit, of course, they slept in the same bedroom with a
Yeah.
bed. But
Yeah.
now on Parkside, Grandma had her bedroom and Grandpa had his.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think they slept together normally,
Yeah.
except when they traveled.
Well, I say birth control.
Yeah.
That solves that.
Well, see, Bob was the youngest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Dale and Mildred were in between my dad and Bobby's dad. Grandma lost 2 of them,
Yeah.
Dale and Mildred.
Yep.
Yes, as you mentioned it, yeah.
And then, of course, Uncle Clay had a twin that was, I think, stillborn or something.
That could be.
Oh,
My mother, ours, had 5 kids.
oh my.
2 died at birth.
I wonder if they didn't have the same problem that Grandma's 2 that died.
I don't know.
Did you ever hear why Mildred and Dale died?
There was one of them. There was something, a lung or something wasn't developed. Of course, nowadays they would probably pull through, but back then,
Yeah.
and I remember, which I'll probably show you a picture someday, of a baby. I don't remember if I went to the funeral because a little doll like was in a little casket.
Mhm.
I don't remember if that was one of our brothers or how it got in there. Yeah, but I'll have to show it to you sometime.
I thought I saw a picture once of your brother in the casket.
Okay. Well,
And I didn't know where they came. Were you the oldest, or were they? Did your mother have?
the second one was,
I wouldn't know.
yeah, I think the first one they lost. And because I came along. And then the third one they lost. And of course, our brother in California and Arnie here in Arizona.
Your brother was Arnold, but they changed it to Robert. He and I were talking with Grandma for once over on Parkside, and I don't know how the subject got changed, but we got into burlesque shows, and Grandma told us that she went to the burlesque with Grandpa because he didn't like to go alone. And she said she didn't mind the girls, but she didn't like the comedians.
Okay.
Did you know she went to the burlesque with Grandpa?
No.
It's, I don't know how the subject came up, but the 2 of us were over there, and we were young. Well, we weren't too young. I forget when they sold that place, but
Yeah, they
she
sold
said
that. I don't
that,
know where they sold that because I was in the Army, I think. Sold that.
Which that?
on
Parkside.
Parkside when
Oh,
they sold.
Parkside.
Yeah.
And the lake place, I don't know when they sold that. Do you?
Well, I don't know the year, but that, because they sold it to Bob.
That's
The
right.
lake
they did.
place,
That's
yeah.
right. They did sell.
Yeah, but the
Parkside, I have no idea when that was sold.
they started building at Lake George after the war, if I remember.
Yeah, because some of the stuff Grandpa hauled from Toledo up
Yeah.
there because they couldn't buy it in Indiana.
Yeah,
Grandpa knew somebody there in Toledo, and I remember he loaded that trailer up, and
Yeah.
he had an Olds, the 37 Olds,
yeah,
and off they would go to the lake. And of course, at first, why they would go up there early in the morning, and they'd work all day, and then Grandpa would drive back. You see, Grandma didn't drive anymore.
no, she drove years ago.
Years
'cause
ago.
I think Grandpa got hurt once and she had to drive.
Well, and I understood she was driving and a kid came out from somewheres and she took the ditch instead of hitting the kid.
Oh,
And we thought after that, I could have killed that kid. And after that, she wouldn't drive anymore.
mm,
So
Yeah.
that's the story I got, that
yeah. I never heard that one.
She didn't drive anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I know she sold real estate for a while.
yeah. I don't
In
remember.
She sold real estate out where we grew up, and the lot my dad built on, my grandma had bought for herself because it was a prime lot of that subdivision, and she never got around to building it, and then sold it to my dad, when he got married.
Yeah. Well, see, your dad added on to that house too.
The what?
I say your dad added on to the house.
Yeah, he had it on. Yeah, family kept growing. Yeah, and what I remember is that grandma sort of helped buy the lot for Bobby's dad, so he would stay in Ohio, because he'd gone out to California at least twice, I think.
Yep, it was twice. Yep.
Yeah, and so she wanted him to stay in Ohio, so she got I think she bought the lot at first, and then he paid her back, and got him to build a house, and figured that would keep him here in Ohio.
She twisted his arm.
Yeah,
Well, I think he wanted to stay in Ohio anyway. And,
could be. Yeah,
and I know Mom liked California, but the connections to her family and history weren't as strong as the Bohls family was.
Her mom lived in California, didn't she? Pat's mom?
Yes. And I'm trying to.
That's where they met, I think. Bob and Pat met. I think he was in service.
Well, because Mom and Grandma lived together. And I'm still, because I can't find a marriage license or any history about when Everett Wilson and my grandmother got together, but it was before my parents, I believe, and made it real easy for Mom and Dad to pass Grandpa Wilson off as my grandfather, for all three of us. But I can't find any documentation that a marriage license or anything. And so I don't know where they found each other, but I think the war had a lot to do with it. Grandpa Wilson was in the service in the Navy. Dad was in the Seabees, and I don't think Grandpa Wilson and Dad connected, but they had USO events, and that's where Dad met Mom. And the story that I've been given is that Dad asked Grandma to dance with him, and Grandma says, "No, you don't want to dance with me. You want to dance with her, my daughter." And Mom was barely 18 at the time, and so it went from there. But I've had a chance to digitize all the old photos from Mom's memory book, and which is it's a real eye opener. You can really put some of the pieces together for family, who she was on her own, and all of these South Pacific pictures of for Dad through the war. But I think that's how that all came together, was in California. I have from the 50s, and I started to talk about this earlier. Mom thought, Ken, you and Dad were twins, that you two look so much alike. And on the family Facebook page, if you scroll back far enough, I digitized that video. It's a video at Lake George of you and Dad walking toward the camera side by side. And it is something to see, because you two really did look alike.
Well, we've been talking for what, hour and a half, 2 hours? I think maybe
Yeah.
we're
We're
running
catching
out
up
of
on ours. Yep, I think we've run out of time, but I love you all, and I'm glad we all got together. And
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome. It's a privilege for me to do this and see everybody. So we'll see you in a couple of months.
Yeah, see you in
Okay.
January.
All righty, take care.
Watch on Facebook.
Yep.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.